Hi everyone, how's it going? So in this video, we're going to be talking about finding purpose as a software professional. I'm going to try to make it into a practical guide. Um, Maybe a little bit about myself. My name is Rahul, and I've been asking this question for myself for quite a long time, 10 years plus, about finding purpose in my work. And I started off my career in the oil and gas industry in the very beginning. And yeah, it made me question a lot of things. Especially in the ethics department, if you like. And that's really where my question on like finding a purpose-driven work started to show up. To redeem my soul over 10 years ago, I thought, you know what? I want to find a way to get into software engineering as a professional and basically get towards, yeah, redeem my soul and doing some climate related work, climate tech. And today, I'm doing climate tech related work, and it's been quite a journey to find that kind of purpose driven work that I do day to day kind of thing, right? And I think this is kind of a typical theme that I'm hearing quite a lot around my circle as well, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So finding purpose as a software professional, a practical guide. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to start off with the agenda first, just so we're on the same page on what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll go through them. So I'll start with why finding purpose in tech is hard. Then I'll introduce a four-part framework that I've been using for myself, just to get a little bit of clarity on how I go about defining maybe or understanding what my direction of my purpose-driven work would be. The four-part framework includes listing down your passions, listing down your hobbies, your skills, and then your experiences. And each of these lists can be anywhere from 3 to 10 bullet point items. It doesn't have to be very complicated, but it's a list that's unique to you. And having that list is quite helpful to kind of refocus on what you really are all about, right? So once you have that list, I mean, what you can do is find overlaps and patterns, and once you can see patterns, right? So in my case, I had things like, engineering practice, right? Software engineer building. I had passions for climate sustainability, all that. So helping understanding those patterns and overlaps that are most exciting for me helped me find what my next step was. So we'll briefly touch on shaping your next move as a result of this as well. Awesome. So let's go and get started. So first of all, why is finding purpose in tech so hard? Um, I think, I mean, from my perspective, the typical like default career path that we have, it inherently lacks meaning, right? It's all driven by these huge companies, and they have their own initiatives and own needs, and the rest of the industry kind of follows what they want to build towards, right? Of course, there's a competitive nature around these large companies and whatnot, uh, but it at the end of the day, it serves them, but it doesn't serve the individual, particularly the individual who wants to do some positive work through their work, through their day-to-day work, really, right? So the default career path is inherently meaningless in that kind of sense, right? So the other thing is it's also about being like controlling the direction you want to go to. You have to show up for what you believe in, right? Your principles and your morals and all that kind of stuff. And then look at the market on and be very selective on what kind of opportunities are good for you or align well with you, right? So I think that's another thing that can help. Like once you are very clear on what you're all about, what you stand for, right? Then it's easier to narrow down the focus on what kind of next steps you'd like to do as part of your, software professional career. Sometimes to find out what you're all about, you have to take risks and gambles in yourself, right? And sometimes the fear of making, a wrong move can hold you back from actually really understanding what you're looking for. So I'd encourage everybody to have a little bit more of an open mind and seeing what's possible, right? And what's really possible is going to be very much dictated by you. You have to have that a little bit of that inner working done so that you can be convinced that taking a leap and showing up for yourself and gambling on yourself is worth it, right? And it does take a lot of effort, like mental effort, to be able to do that. And then also, as individuals, as we grow every year that goes by, our interests and strengths evolve, but our jobs might not. So I think from my point of view, these are some of the things that makes it a little bit harder in the software or the tech industry to find purpose in our work, where perhaps ones amongst us who are maybe more settled in our job and more happy, and perhaps we have different priorities, having stability and whatnot, right? But especially in at least from my corner where I'm standing or sitting, I think to be able to want to find purpose-driven work does require that a little bit of that kind of soul searching type of thing, a little bit of like convincing yourself that you know what, this is the direction I, as an individual, want to carve a path for myself in. So it takes a bit of effort, right? But in any case, I want to help make this effort a little bit easier for you, right? And then we can actually start looking at the four-part framework that I was going to take. Just a quick one last note. Finding purpose is not like a one-time thing, right? It's a continuous process, and you learn and you refine it. You get better at it, and you become wiser at it, and then you rethink it, and it just continually evolves, right? So yeah, let's move on to the more interesting part, which is the four-part, framework to get clarity. And what I'm going to be introducing you is just make a list of passions, right? What truly excites you. What do you enjoy to do in your free time in the form of hobbies, right? Then you've got your skills, right? What are you good at? And then lastly, experiences. What has shaped you and your perspectives? So being able to create even 3 to 5, 3 to 10 bullet point list items can be a good start on understanding what you're all about, right? All the way from passions to hobbies to skills and experiences, right? So one last note I'd like to add on this is the fact that I think that passions and hobbies are kind of things that can fuel your motivation, right? To take action and whatnot for your career, right? Whereas things like the skills and experience is what increases your chances of being able to attain the kind of definition of success that you want to go for once you've gone through this, right? So being able to combine these kind of qualities about yourself, I think is a good way to understand which direction your heart wants to go, right? Uh, Passions, hobbies, skills, and experiences, right? So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to kind of walk through maybe my list, if you like, and we'll go through that same list, and you'll see how much that like it's not even that detailed. It's just pretty much my perspective on things, and I change my opinion on this all the time. But this is my latest one. So let's go ahead and have a look. So my passion, as you probably now noticed, is climate action and sustainability, and this was very much formed over 10 years ago for me in the context of my life. It became quite important to me. Another thing that I really like doing is growing together with people. So, and as part of that, I think helping others unlock their potential is it's a quite a passionate topic for me. I do believe that as the IT people or the software professionals that we are, we're surrounded in a world with digital. Everything's digitized. Everything is built with the digital economy and whatnot, right? And I think being able to contribute towards that is incredible. But imagine like the kind of capabilities that we do have as professionals. And what if we can actually put together, our infuse our spirits, infuse our wishes and dreams and what we see life should be like, or you know what I mean, right? I think that's a very exciting topic for me. So I like doing this kind of stuff, and I do this all the time with my own networks and helping them kind of unleash their potential, if you like, in a very non-judgmental way, right? And I learn how to be a better person, I think, as a result of that as well. I like sharing knowledge. That's fairly straightforward. Maybe this video is an attempt at doing that, right? And lastly, as part of my passions, I love to explore the nature. Recently, I've moved to Finland in Helsinki, and the nature is incredible over here. Truly fascinating. And I love going for longer walks or camping, which you'll see in a bit in my hobbies section, right? So these are some of my passions over here, right? These are things that motivate me. Now, for you, write down your own top 3 to 10 passions, right? If you struggle to think about what excites you, like just try to think about like what is the thing that excites you even when nobody else is watching, right? And come up with a list from 3 to 10 and keep it to yourself. Hobbies. So again, my hobbies now. So I like taking long walks in nature. Finland is super accessible for that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe maybe for some people it's a bit of a dull humor. Sorry, a dull hobby. But I'll be honest, for me, it's an exciting one. So this one kind of works nicely for me, right? You're gonna have your own, right? I like reading. You can see there's quite a few books over here, ranging from philosophy to engineering books to business books, you name it, right? I quite enjoy that. Um, in the last year, I've taken a huge I've started camping. I love camping now. In Finland, it is amazing place to do camping, right? And just being out there in the nature. So this is one of my new hobbies that I've started to have, right? It's allowed me to get a little bit closer to nature in a way that I didn't really have access to before. But now I look forward to being able to go camping because, yeah, there's so many mental health benefits for me, I feel, by being able to get closer to nature. Lastly, I've started to play a bit more guitar. I have played guitar for ages, but I'm not really, yeah, let's just say I'm pretty rusty, right? But it's something that I find energy in it and more, right? And looking to practice a little bit more. So that's just a list of my hobbies. You can see that it's pretty simple. There's nothing complicated about it, right? Right. So next, let's move over. Oh yeah, right, of course. So now make sure you can find a way to list maybe 3 to 10 of your own hobbies, right? And these hobbies can be a great place, like especially if you want to kind of understand which direction you want to go. Then these can be great sources for inspiration when brainstorming your next career move, or maybe even side projects that you want to take on. So hobbies. Next, let's move over to skills. So I'll talk a little bit about my skills. So I'm a software engineer. So software engineering is my skill, building software, that kind of stuff. Um, I also like combining business and technology and basically build that into strategy and whatnot. It's something that I've had a pleasure of doing more recently in my career, and I love doing it, frankly. And I know that I can drive technology projects for smaller companies, or smaller businesses. So that's a skill that I've more recently acquired. No doubt you have a lot of skills yourself, right, that you've been acquiring over the years. Problem solving and analytical thinking, that's just something I do on a day-to-day basis. And coaching individuals, I've been doing this for a good couple of years, just giving people a nice and safe place to think about what their options are and really helping them kind of almost come to their own conclusions on what they should be doing, right? Whether it is technical challenges or career moves or whatever. And I suppose I'd like to try to use this final skill coaching individuals perhaps as part of this kind of video as well, maybe in the future. I don't know. Let's see where it goes. And lastly, yeah, again, so rank some of your skills that you have, 3 to 10 skills, entirely up to you how much depth you want to go. And just write down things that you're best at and ones that energize you the most. All right, so that's skills. Let's talk about experiences. So I'll share some of my experiences. So more recently, I've been building software for banks. Banks have a really high requirement of all sorts. They need all sorts of security standards, like DORA compliance or OAuth top 10 vulnerabilities, and build according to that best open source internet standards, or even qualifying for ISO 27001 certifications. These are very technical pieces that I've now recently acquired um, by being able to build for software for banks. So this is an experience I've gained, and no doubt you have your own skills, right? Sorry, no, your own experiences that you can kind of think about. Consulting and contracting in tech. So this is what I've been doing for 10 years plus. Um, I've been a technical support engineer in a software as a service company as well. And as I mentioned in my oil and gas days, that's basically where the research and development work I was doing for this oil and gas company in Norway. And I was participating in industrial operations as well, and gave me a completely new perspective on how heavy industrial operations take and how health and safety and environmental concerns are considered in that. Uh, just opened my mind. I mean, again, it definitely questioned my ethics, but exposed me to a different part of the world, right? And that's a couple of my experiences in my career. So again, for you now, write down 3 to 10 defining experiences in your life, career, It could also be non-career related as well. So now we've gone through those four areas, right? Passions, hobbies, skills, and experiences, right? Now you can find, now that you've listed them down, you can find some overlaps, right? Maybe what could be helpful for you is just kind of the list that you've come up with, put it in the order of what excites you, right? The highest exciting thing at the top, and then just kind of work yourself to the, yeah, just order it based on what excites you, right? And look at it in terms of like long-term potentials as well, because it helps you kind of snap out of what you should be doing right now and helps you kind of almost like spread that effort, if you like, into maybe a year or a couple of years time, right? um, then we have, work out what skills are valuable but they don't necessarily enjoy, like align with what you enjoy, right? So in my case, I've got experience in being a technical support engineer for software as a service companies, but it's not necessarily something that is like, the thing that I enjoy the most. It definitely gives me a more kind of like an expanded point of view on how to deal with customers, right? But not something I want to do, right? But I've gotten that exposure. So, like, now my question for you is like, how do your, passions, hobbies, your skills, and your experiences, like, how do you combine them, and like, what kind of overlaps are you finding in your case, right? These intersections can reveal actually quite a lot of your strongest opportunities. So I've been, as I mentioned, looking at this, like using this kind of framework to guide myself for a good couple of years now, right? And something that was important for me is climate action, sustainability, building software, right? And yeah, I think those are like a good kind of intersection points already that helped me like look at my options. Okay, I want to work in climate impact, right? Climate impact tech. And it helped me just narrow down areas that I don't actually want to contribute towards because I've done that reasoning for myself and I'm quite convinced this is the direction I want to go to. So I'd love for you to be able to kind of think about your options in the same kind of way, right? By being able to have your passions, your hobbies, your skills and experience listed down even today, right? Take action, right? And once you've done that exercise for yourself, and it doesn't have to be more than 20 minutes, right? You can spend just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, and have that list available for you. And then you can come back to it anytime, right? So that's this overlap section, right? And in my case, I had found my overlaps, right? And I had strategically thought about, okay, how do I make a career change in relation to this, right? Of course, people can also use it to generate business ideas if that's what they want to do, and pivoting strategically. And in my case, it would happen to be setting a career goal, right? Being in the climate impact space type of thing. So, in the same way, you can also shape your next move by understanding these four different qualities about yourself, right? Do, because by doing that, you can define what success looks like to you in your given context right now, right? You can identify maybe low risk ways to test your direction. It could be as simple as recruiters telling you, "Hey, you're one of the greatest people of all time. We want to hire you for all sorts of things. And they will love you. They will cherish you, and they will say all sorts of things to get your attention, right? But then you can just tell them, "Hey, look, I get it. I get you think I'm awesome, right? But I only want to work in this kind of segment of the market. So please get back to me like once you've got a little bit something more tangible that is more fulfilling for me, right? Because being doing a purpose driven work for my software career is important for me. So you can already kind of maybe use recruiters as a helping or support to be able to find those kind of roles that is maybe more useful for you, right? Or more speaks to you on a more deeper level, right? And then you can align your next steps with what energizes you the most, right? But the perhaps the most important bullet point I want to highlight over here in this slide is just be unafraid to take ownership of your path, right? Being a human means that things are not perfect and we don't have, an instruction in life on what exactly we should be doing, right? Each one of us represents a incredible like a complex, you know, system, right? Where we are exposed to a certain corner of the world, right? and we understand things in our own ways. What is right, what is wrong, what is good enough, all that. And I have my version, and no doubt you have your own version as well, right? So by listening to those voices, right, you can actually provide yourself the ability to take ownership of your own life and of your own career path in the software world, right? And that's what I want to kind of home in on this in this video. So I think that's pretty much it, what I have for this in the video. Just as a quick recap of what we talked about. I started off with why finding purpose in this kind of tech space is a little bit difficult, right? Then we looked at the four-part framework for being able to essentially work out, what you're all about, right? We looked at the steps that you need to take, 3 to 10 items for right items in relation to your passions, your hobbies, your skills, and your experiences. And once you've got that, then find ways to get overlaps and understand what kind of patterns you have between them, and use that as a way to shape your next move. And the next move could be anything from, changing a job and being very highly selective of what kind of job you want to do, right? Or how you want to contribute. So for people who have the space, finding maybe a business idea, and who are, have the technical skills to back that off as well. Or yeah, being able to adjust something in your current workplace, right? So highly encourage you to take your future in your hands in this kind of way, because at the end of the day, let's not fool ourselves for 1 second. Software engineering is very difficult, right? But I think when we go through these challenges and we work together with teams and build things, it brings us something quite profound, which is confidence in being able to pull things off, right? Especially the hard challenges. And I have no doubt that, maybe if you got to up to this point in this video, I have no doubt you've had your own fair share of challenges that you've learned from. And frankly, those skills and experiences and things that have, defined you in some in capacity, professional context, right? There's a lot more going on over there, I think, than we typically give it credit for, like in this kind of typical career paths, right? So, highly encourage you to, listen to the voice inside and make adjustments in your life. Find your next move. But anyway, this is a little bit enough. I think this is enough from me. Uh, this is yeah, just a quick video on finding purpose in your IT job or as a software professional, and that's pretty much it. So thanks everybody, and next video you'll see me again. I don't know what the topic is just yet, but we'll get there. Thanks a lot.